Hey, it's Dr. Lakeisha Watson, epidemiologist and data storyteller, translating data into public health insights for Black women. Welcome back to Epi Fridays. So earlier this week, I shared a bit about my dissertation and my journey through research, and I want to build on that today by talking about something we constantly are interacting with: health headlines. So let's get into it. Because we're living in a moment where health information is everywhere, and not just information, right? Opinions, claims, threads, think pieces. Everybody has a platform, everybody has a take. And a lot of it can sound convincing, but sounding convincing isn't the same thing as being supported by evidence. Most of us encounter health science through headlines, right? So we're not reading full studies, we're scrolling, we're skimming, we're seeing a sentence or two and being asked to draw conclusions about our bodies, our choices, our future. And most people were never really taught how to read health information critically. So today, I want to walk you through how epidemiologists think when we see a headline so you don't get pulled into unnecessary fear or confusion. The first thing I want people to understand is that a headline is not the science. It's an interpretation of the science, filtered through media incentives, time constraints, and sometimes ideology, and sometimes political agendas. All right, its job is to grab your attention, but not explain the study in detail. So when I see a health headline, the first thing I'm going to do is pause. Not because I'm skeptical by default, and I might be, but because reacting too quickly is how misinformation spreads. Epidemiology isn't about reacting, right? It's about understanding patterns over time across populations, not single moments or isolated findings. Another thing we do instinctively is ask, what questions was this research actually trying to answer? A lot of headlines make it seem like a study is set out to prove something dramatic, when in reality, the question was much more specific. So maybe the study was exploratory, maybe it was looking for a pattern and not trying to prove cause and effect. That difference matters. Just because two things show up together doesn't mean one caused the other. Epidemiology spends a lot of time untangling association versus causation, and headlines almost never slow down enough to make that distinction. We also pay close attention to how certainty is being communicated. If a headline sounds absolute or alarmist, that's usually a sign to slow down even more, because science rarely speaks in absolutes, especially when health outcomes are shaped by biology, shaped by behavior, environment, policy, all at once. So, uncertainty isn't a flaw, but it is an honest reflection of how complex human health actually is. Context matters too. Was this finding observed once or repeatedly? Does it align with a larger body of evidence, or is it being treated like a breakthrough on its own? One study, no matter how well done it is, rarely overturns decades of research. But headlines often treat single studies that way, which can make it feel like health guidance is constantly changing. We're also trained to notice what's missing, right? So, are structural factors or social conditions discussed, or is the focus entirely on behavior? When those broader factors disappear, people are left trying to interpret something they don't have all the information for, and that is where pseudoscience thrives. Pseudoscience sounds confident. It offers simple explanations for complex problems. But epidemiology teaches us that simple explanations are rarely sufficient. Health is shaped by layers: history, policy, access, environment, stress, time. Headlines flatten those layers, but epidemiologists try to restore them. So, reading a health headline like an epidemiologist doesn't mean distrusting everything you see, but it does mean resisting the urge to jump to conclusions, asking better questions, and understanding that evidence builds slowly and imperfectly. And once you start reading headlines this way, you begin to see that a lot of today's health narratives didn't start today, which is why, as we move into February, Epi Fridays, we'll be spending some time looking back through a Black in the Day mini-series where we examine a few historical moments through an epi lens, because understanding the past helps us read the present more clearly. That's the work, that's the lens, and that's what we do here on Epi Fridays. So I will see y'all next week where we will kick off our mini-series. I'm actually so excited about this. So yeah, until then, bye.